My lord, since we last spoke, a lot has gone down. Donald Trump is being grilled after the birthday message to Epstein he said didn't exist got released by US lawmakers. Apple just released the iPhone 17 and one feature has got a lot of people pissed. Nepal protesters have set their parliament building on fire. And for the first time since the war began, a NATO member country has directly engaged with Russian assets. All of that and so much more. Honestly, it feels like the world is freaking fallen apart in the last couple of days. It's been crazy. So we got a lot to go through. Let's stop the yapping and let's go! And also guys, breaking news. As Alex was editing this video, we've got some massive news. Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. Okay guys, we've got a late addition to this video, that's why it is out so late, but this evening, Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck and assassinated. He was hosting a Q&A at Utah Valley University when a shot rings out, and from this footage, which is now being posted all over the internet, it shows him being hit right in front of the neck. His whole body shakes. He is seen slumping back in his chair and people in the crowd start scattering. And honestly, when I first saw this video, apart from just pure shock and horror, I was thinking, no way he survives this. Like, the amount of blood that he loses in the first few seconds after impact is stunning. And of course, we won't be showing any of the visuals of it actually happening on here. Now, as soon as this news hit the internet, it exploded. Like, honestly, I have not seen the internet in this amount of chaos since the attempted assassination of Trump last year. It is manic right now. And of course, this is still super breaking as of recording, but here are the details we know so far. According to the Utah University, the shot that hit Kirk in the neck was fired from a building 200 yards away with a rifle. Now, Scott Trotter, a university spokesperson, said that the police have now determined that the person who was initially taken into custody after the shooting is not actually the shooter. So videos circulated of this elderly white man being arrested, and many were shouting it at him, claiming that he was the person who carried out the shooting, which honestly could have ruined his life because this thing went mega viral. But as of recording, turns out there was no suspect in custody and the actual shooter is on the run and police are still looking for them. We are also hearing that Charlie Kirk's wife and two young children were at the campus with him when he was shot. Now, we don't know if they were directly in the crowd, and if they are, this would just be traumatizing for them, or if they were somewhere nearby, but that is according to an Oklahoma senator, Mark Wayne Mullen. And Charlie Kirk's wife actually posted on Twitter 2 hours before the shooting, simply with a Bible verse saying, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." Now, at this point, when he was rushed to hospital, there was just an outpour of people saying that everyone must pray for Charlie Kirk. Trump even posted saying, "We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, a great guy from top to bottom. God bless him." We also found out that there was over 6,000 signatures calling for Charlie Kirk not to be allowed to speak at that university today. In fact, afterwards, police have now shut down the entire campus, telling the 40,000 plus students that all classes are canceled, there's an investigation ongoing, and that they need to leave the campus immediately. Now, this makes it America's 46th shooting at a school this year alone. In fact, he was literally answering a question about gun violence moments before he was shot. He was asked by someone in the crowd, "Do you know how many mass shooters have been in America over the past 10 years? As he's holding the microphone, he responds, "Counting or not counting gang violence," and then bang, dead. He's also quoted saying in 2023,
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal.
Now, in the first hour after being in hospital, reports came out that he was actually stabilizing and there was a glimmer of hope. But then Donald Trump posted on Truth Social less than 2 hours after that he was initially taken there. This is what he said: "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie." Trump then ordered all flags to be flown at half-mast, and Charlie was only 31 years old, and he's leaving behind his wife and 2 children. Man, this is wild. Like, buckle up, because things are about to get crazy. Watching on and looking at the political discourse in America right now, it frankly is pretty scary. And moments like these often serve as a major tipping point. And I mean, we can only hope that it tips to the positive side, and this serves as a massive wake-up call. But honestly, the rhetoric that I'm seeing online moments after is only anger and more division. I mean, the US literally so narrowly escaped the assassination of Trump. This is, I mean, it's obviously not up there with a president, but Charlie Kirk was majorly popular among the youth on the right, the conservatives. So honestly, this isn't going to go down well. But of course, as this all unfolds, I'll keep you guys updated on people's reactions, what happens from here when they find the shooter. But until then, moving on.
So important to our country is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
Okay, let's start today off with Donald Trump, because he has just been exposed. Or at least that's what a lot of people are claiming today, because remember that birthday message which came out in July, which allegedly he wrote to Epstein in 2003 for his birthday, where they shared a secret together. Well, back then when it was released, the Wall Street Journal, they didn't actually have it. They just said that sources that they know have seen it. So we kinda at that point just had to take their word for it against Trump's, and Trump was like, we're suing. But then, yesterday, US lawmakers released not just this letter in question, but the entire damn birthday book, along with a bunch of other Epstein documents. And so yeah, this is the apparent letter, just as they described it. It's this imaginary dialogue between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, in this figure of a woman's body. And yep, just like they said, there's one quote that says, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it." And then ended it with, "May every day be another wonderful secret." And then the signature at the end. Now, speaking of that signature, the White House has responded to this, supposed letter, and they said this.
In fact, I have already seen many forensic analysts of signatures coming out. I believe it was the Daily Signal that published a piece with 3 separate signature analysts who said that this absolutely was not the president's authentic signature, and we have maintained that position all along. The president did not write this letter, he did not sign this letter, and that's why the president's external legal team is aggressively pursuing litigation against the Wall Street Journal, and they will continue to.
So yeah, their official stance is straight up denying that Trump ever wrote this. Now, as for the signatures, this is something that was on the BBC, and they put together a list of different signatures that he's done in the past. So this, obviously, the first one was the one in this alleged letter in 2003. Then they got one from 3 years prior where he signed for a charity donation into 2000. And let's be honest, they look pretty much identical with this long tail. Then another one all the way over in 2022, which was in a New York court document signed by Donald Trump. And then in 2025, there's this new signature that I guess he's got from an executive order. So I guess you make your mind up. It's not, impossible to say that someone's able to forge a signature. They're not like freaking fingerprints. But this letter has gone from not existing to now existing, but now being forged, a scam. And this is also just one page among hundreds of pages in this book, and also dozens more high-profile people that also wrote these letters. And also, not to mention, this didn't just come from some random archive, it was in the custody of US authorities. So for this letter to be fake, it would kind of just have to be this one giant hoax where multiple parties are in on it, including US law enforcement and also huge media publications like the Wall Street Journal, which have been around for 136 years. And they would essentially have to stake their entire reputation of their business, or not even just reputation, but legal problems, on one fabricated letter. Now, Trump believes that this is exactly the case because he's gone ahead and filed a lawsuit against the paper's reporters, the publishers, executives, including Rupert Murdoch, who owns not just Wall Street Journal, but many other publications, for $10 billion in damages. Now, whether that actually goes ahead or whether that's just more of a PR thing, we'll have to wait and see. But what do you guys think? Is this actually Trump's signature? Did he write this letter? Or is it one giant hoax? Let me know in the comments. Moving on. Also last night, Apple released the highly anticipated iPhone 17. And there is one feature That's got a lot of people pissed. Now, for starters, this year you'll have the largest iPhone selection to choose from. The iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Pro, and then the all-new iPhone 17 Air. Now, this thing sits at only 5.6 millimeters thick, and it is encased in, you guessed it, titanium. In fact, they say that this structure that they've created makes it the most durable and strongest iPhone they've ever made, which, considering it's thinnest, is wild. Jerry rig everything, you know what to do. Now, they claim that it's unlike anything you have ever held in your hand before. It's got a 120Hz display, it's got the A19 Pro chip, giving it the fastest CPU of any iPhone. In fact, Apple says that it's got
MacBook Pro levels of compute in an iPhone.
But don't get too excited, because this slim design doesn't come without its sacrifices. It's only gonna have one speaker, so the actual sound probably will be worse. It's only got one camera. It's eSIM-only worldwide. And also, the battery life will take a hit. In fact, they simply said, instead of specifying the hours, they just said it's got all-day battery life. Major red flag. And then straight after talking about that, they went on to speak about this new battery pack that they've made. When used in combination with the iPhone Air's battery, it'll give you 40 hours of playback time. So, kind of defeats the purpose if you're walking around with a battery pack to have a slim phone, but Apple. However, what does have nearly 40 hours of video playback is the iPhone 17 Pro. And yes, this year it actually does look different. Kinda. And I must admit, the new battery that they put inside this thing is a genuine beast. In fact, it is the largest ever put inside an iPhone, with a massive 39 hours of video playback. That's what you get with a battery pack on top of the Air. They've already ditched the titanium, lasted 1 year on the Pros, and they've gone back to aluminium. But this time, as you can see, it's essentially this entire unibody shell that they've created, and they just have this one tiny back cutout, which isn't even glass. It's ceramic shield. So yeah, it's fair to say that they have redesigned this from the ground up. And the reason they've got that extended camera bump now, apart from they just needed it to look different this year, is that they've upgraded the cameras. For the first time, all three rear cameras have 48 megapixels. Oh, and also, it's not just the back cameras. In fact, all these 17s have this really new, upgraded, what they call, Apple, they've got a name for everything. They call it the center stage front camera. Now, essentially what that is that for the first time, they've used a square sensor instead of a circular one. And with this shape, it gives it more pixels and a wider field of view. Meaning, because of that, you now don't even need to rotate your phone to shoot in landscape, which is pretty cool. Oh, message from Alex. Zero pressure, man. Just enjoy the process. Gotta love what you do to be happy. Alex, stop it! That's just the kind of messages I get from Alex. Just, you know, keep going with the lifetime messages. And also, it'll use AI so it can like zoom out and crop for wider shots if you need it. It'll be 18 megapixel, which is the best front camera they've ever had. And also, because of that extra pixelations, it's a lot more stabilized because they can just move around. I hope you get what I'm talking about. But let's talk about why people are pissed. Because one, yeah, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, every year it looks the same and they haven't changed much. And also, one feature that a lot of people were pissed didn't arrive was reverse wireless charging. A lot of people expected to be able to charge each other's phones, maybe your AirPods, all with your phone. And also, a lot of people don't like the fact that the Pros only came in 3 colors and one of them isn't black. Now, these are the price points for all of the models. I believe all of them are the same apart from the Pro model, which has gone up $100. But let me know what you guys think. Is the 17 lineup good or not? Or is it overhyped? Let me know. Did Tim cook or is Tim cooked? Moving on. Okay, and also last piece of positive news before the world starts falling apart. So get your smiles in now, because after this story, you're about to cry. History has just been made in Africa today. Because after 14 years of construction and $5 billion, the continent's largest hydropower dam has finally had its grand opening in Ethiopia. It stands at a massive 145 meters high, 2 kilometers in length across the Blue Nile, and that makes it among the top 20 largest dams of its kind in the world. It's also been described as a leap into the future because this will double Ethiopia's current energy production capacity. That is huge. In fact, that's enough electricity to power 5 million homes simultaneously. It's also a literal game changer for the country because as things stand, around 45% of their 130 million people they lack electricity. But after today, many homes which have never even experienced what it's like to have electricity in your home will do so for the first time ever. Just imagine how game-changing that is. And not just that, because also manufacturing opportunities and industrial opportunities will also finally open up. And not just for Ethiopia, because with a surplus of power, they can now also export this power and electricity to neighboring countries in East Africa as well. Oh, and they did all of this without any foreign aid support. Entirely self-funded. So yeah, massive W, well done Ethiopia, but as I promised, the positive news ends here. And I want you guys to get ready because today, instead of rapid fire news, we have a limited edition, one time only new segment for this. It's called The World is Falling Apart. Boom. Oh. I'm sure you can slice that together to make it something. It's called The World is Falling Apart. Firstly, the French government. Because also in the last couple of days, these scenes coming out of Nepal right now are unlike anything they have ever seen before. I mean, we touched on this on Monday because there are huge anti-corruption protests happening in the country which are being led by Gen Z, which makes them very unique. And they have actually rocked the country in a massive way because the country's youth have forced the country's prime minister to step down officially yesterday. And not only did Sharma Oli resign, but the government also withdrew that social media ban that came into effect last week. Problem is though, a lot of the damage is done because in these protests, at least 22 people have been killed after police reportedly ended up using live ammunition, live rounds against a crowd that overwhelmed them. And many of those killed were young. In fact, there were reports of an 18-year-old boy in school uniform carrying a school ID getting shot in the head. Alex, do not play any visuals for that. This will get taken down immediately. And it's not just that. Even UNICEF put out a statement last night saying they are deeply alarmed by the reports of violence against children during today's protests across Nepal. All domestic flights in the country have been grounded. They have now stormed and set fire to the country's parliament building, which, just for perspective, that's the equivalent of protesters going into the US Capitol in Washington, D.C. and setting that on fire. In fact, the politicians inside had to be evacuated using army helicopters. They captured the country's finance minister, they stripped him down to his underwear, and they paraded him through the streets and then threw him in a freaking river. They set fire to a bunch of politicians' home residences, including Nepal's former prime minister, and his wife was still inside. She was burnt alive. There are also now thousands of inmates who have now escaped prison after protesters broke inside the premises. Local reports say that the number as of right now is about 1,600 inmates who have been freed. I almost feel lightheaded, but that is not where the world stops falling apart. There's more. Because while all of this is kicking off in Nepal, Israel bombed Qatar. And that has led to huge global backlash and condemnation against Israel again. They say that they targeted senior Hamas leaders who were taking part in ceasefire negotiations in their capital, Doha. And guys, even Trump is pissed about this. He told reporters, quote, "I was very unhappy about it, very unhappy about every aspect." But you see, according to reports, the reason that Hamas were even in Qatar's capital of Doha in the first place was because the US and Israel had asked Qatar to host Hamas for ceasefire talks. I mean, as CNN puts it, there was an unstated understanding that while Israel could assassinate the leaders, they would not do so, given Qatar's mediation role. Trump also added that the attack did not advance Israel or America's goals and described the state of Qatar as a trusted strategic ally who was bravely taking risks with us to broker a peace deal. So I guess in short, Qatar was, trying to do the right thing by offering their capital city to help end the war. But Israel attacked Anyway, now Israel has responded saying that this attack was entirely justified and it was ordered after the attack in Jerusalem that happened on Monday. This is where, according to reports, 2 Palestinian men opened fire on a bus stop, killing 6 and 12 others were injured, and Hamas apparently claimed responsibility for the attack. But with that being said, we've got one more world falling apart story. Absolutely massive developments are coming out of the Russia-Ukraine war because overnight, Poland, who may I remind you are part of NATO, claimed that there were 19 Russian drones that entered the country's airspace overnight and were shot down. And maybe when I say that, that doesn't seem that crazy on the surface, but this is so significant that Poland has called for an emergency meeting and requested to invoke NATO Article 4 because many are seeing this as a potential Russian attack on a NATO member country. And for any of you unfamiliar with Article 4, that's what that is. Reports say that this also marks the first time that a member of the NATO military alliance has directly engaged with Russian assets in its airspace since the Ukraine war started in 2022. The Polish military say that this incident is an unprecedented violation of Polish airspace, and the big question that has come out of all of this is people asking, was this a deliberate act by the Russian military to test NATO's response? Now, Russia has responded to this. They denied that it was even them, and that there are no evidence that these drones are of Russian provenance. Poland is now launching an operation to find these downed drones and verify their origin. I told you! What a wild couple of days. Honestly, it feels like I haven't even had the opportunity to take a breath in all this world crumbling breaking news. But hopefully Friday, the world cometh back together. And maybe we'll do a Friday good news episode now. So let's be honest, that's a pipe dream. Good News Friday. I don't know. We'll see. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you feel all caught up, and I will see you again on Friday. Woo!